A project file is created from an existing Vectorworks document. When the Project Sharing menu command is invoked for the first time, a dialog will ask whether or not you want to convert and save the file as a project file. Answering yes lets you determine where the project file will be saved, so it can be appropriately accessed by all parties, normally a central file server within your office. You'll also want to name this project. A new copy of the file will appear with a .vwxp extension. Once saved, you'll be presented with the Project Sharing setup screen. Keep in mind, you don't have to complete the setup process all the way through each and every time. You can merely click Finish at any time, and this will automatically complete the setup process using the default values for the rest of the tasks. And in fact, we recommend that the project administrator set up the story, layer, and level structure before completing the Project Sharing setup sequence. This first step also lets you determine if you want to create a working file at the end of the setup process or not. Note that the default value is set to yes. The next step, accessed by clicking the Next button, is probably one of the most important steps in the setup process, that of determining who is involved in the project and what permissions they have, allowing them to create, edit, or delete elements within the file. Looking at the Administer Users pane, you can see that the first line suggests that you, the person who created the project sharing file, are automatically set to be the project administrator. This, of course, can be changed at any time. Here, you would add other users that you know are going to be working within the file. The username corresponds with the username for that user's account on their computer. You can see a common example of username setup here. You must maintain the same username across multiple computers if you wish to keep the same access to this project file. This list of users can be modified later, but all users that are expected to work on the project should have their permissions set here from the start to save time. If you need to alter a user's permissions later on, they should release all checked out layers and discard or commit any changes first, before a user with administrative privileges alters them. This list of users can be modified as needed, but all users that are expected to work on the project should have their permissions set here from the start. To save time, you can also import lists of users with their associated permission settings from other documents, and the last item on this pane allows you to set the default permissions of any new users that attempt to open the project file. Generally, you would leave this at read-only, or whatever the lowest assigned permission level was that you used in your list above. The next step in setting up the project involves a new concept specific to project sharing: master layers. A master layer is a layer where changes will not often be made. A good example is a layer where the column grid is placed, or the site model. Master layers can only be modified by users with administrative or project level permissions. Looking at the Classify Layers pane, the master layers are identified by a star. Add a master layer by clicking in the star column of the desired layer to make it appear. Click again to remove the star and master layer status from any layer. The next step displays the Set Backup Policy pane, letting the user set a backup policy for the project file. The backup location can be specified along with the backup frequency and the number of backup files to keep. If you will have dozens of commits from users each day, the default value of 5 is probably fine. But if you may go entire days without a commit being performed, then it's advisable to have the project back up on each commit. As with the regular autosave function within Vectorworks, you can choose how many backups will be kept at any given time. Note that these backup settings are separate from the user backup settings individually and should be treated differently. Clicking the Finish button completes the setup process. Again, users with administrative privileges can always come back to the file, Project Sharing, and alter these settings later. This setup system is just to walk you through and make sure you complete all the needed steps.